We're back with some more SoulMask, and today we're going to talk about how you can keep your tribe's people alive when they are following you. Let's get to it. So there's a lot of contention around having your tribe's people as followers in this game, so much so that they actually touched on it in the last FAQ that they released. In that post, they stated as the question, which is a statement, so I don't know why it's the question, but anyway, they say, my followers are too weak and only get in the way. In addition to boosting follower stats, we've updated the AI. Now, in assist mode, followers will actively attack targets you're fighting. This update was implemented in last Friday's updates. Upgrading AI is an ongoing process, but we know clearly how important followers are, especially for solo players. We'll keep enhancing their combat and survival abilities to ensure they are your best allies for exploration and boss fights. And they have boss in all caps. So here's the thing. While the AI is not that bright in some situations, it's a lot better in this game than most. And there are a few things that you can do to kind of offset the dumbness of the AI. So considering people are having issues with followers, I wanted to make this video talking about how you could kind of fix some of these problems and have a follower with you and use it, and it will fight well for you, as you can kind of see in the footage that's on the screen now. Keeping your follower alive is actually pretty easy to do. You just need to make sure that you're prepped properly and you have the proper talents and abilities on the proper characters, so between you and your actual follower. The first thing you want to do is, just like you would with yourself, you want to ensure that your follower has the absolute best quality gear that you can put on them. So ideally, you would want gold or red or pink or whatever color that color is to you, that highest tier, the legendary gear on your follower as well as yourself for whatever stage of the game you are in. So if you're a beast bone, you'll want legendary beast bone. If you're in copper, you want legendary copper. Being able to craft higher level stuff is pretty easy to do. It's much easier to do if you find a tribesperson that is a crafter, but honestly, any of them can do it if their proficiency goes high enough. So just find a tribesperson that can get pretty high in armor crafting and weapon crafting, or one for each, and just put them on the bench and have them grind out the lowest level stuff that you can grind until you have to grind higher for better experience, and then just continue on with that until they max out their proficiency. Once their proficiency gets high enough, they'll start making the better quality stuff more often. The gear alone is going to make an absolutely insane difference for the survivability of not only yourself, but also your follower. The next very important thing that you need is a set of class skills and talents. So for the character that you're playing, the talents don't matter nearly as much. Use whatever talents you can get, the best ones you can find at whatever given stage you are at in the game. What's really key for the character that you are playing is your class skills. So everybody gets a class skill except your main character that you start with. So any tribesperson that you go out and tame or deter, those are going to come with a class skill. There are two class skills that I recommend for this. One I recommend more, and that is Taunt. So Taunt states that it forces enemies within 10 meters from self with some intelligence, so it's not going to work too well on animals, but it works great on people, to target and attack you for a period of time. This is busted when you have a follower because it causes everything to attack you and ignore your follower, and it can come in super clutch for saving your follower if they're getting beat down, and especially in boss fights. If you use this, the boss will target you and not your follower and absolutely destroy them. The other one I recommend, if you can't get Taunt, if you do get this one works pretty well as well, is Heal the Wounded. So it consumes one simple bandage. It only works with simple bandages, so just keep that in mind. So you're going to need to have them on you even if you have better bandages. Consumes one simple bandage to heal allies. It recovers 2% times their max HP plus 40 per second for 10 seconds. It also relieves the bleeding status and various minor and severe injuries. This is crazy good. Not quite as good as the Taunt, but it is definitely a solid option if you don't get the Taunt. Let me explain why. First off, your follower will only heal when they get so low. I don't know specifically what the threshold is, but they got to get pretty low before they will heal. So if they've only lost like a quarter of a health, they don't care. They'll just walk around with a quarter of a health. You can be relatively close to them, hit G on your keyboard, and just heal them with a single bandage. And you'll heal them more with this ability than just going into their inventory and using one of the bandages. The other fantastic thing about this ability is if they are downed, you don't have to pick them back up. You can just be close to them, hit G, and it will activate this. They will start to heal. You can kite whatever is near them away, and they will heal in their down state to the point at which they get get back up and have a decent amount of health to start fighting again. If you're fighting something that has bleed on it, this will remove the bleeding from your follower, which also helps them. Now keep in mind, this one is much more of a bit of a passive play style, a follow them around, you're playing the healer type situation. Obviously you're gonna fight too, but you need to more babysit your follower with this ability, as where with taunt, you just spam it as much as possible to keep things attacking you and not your follower, while your follower beats the crap out of them from behind. Now with the follower, it's a bit of the opposite. Their class skill doesn't matter nearly as much as their talents do. The talents that you want is the highest level of experience battle tested that you can get a hold of. So at level 1, it reduces their damage by 40%. At level 3, it reduces the damage that they take by 60%. This alone gives them a massive amount of survivability. The other talent that you want is Last Radiance. This one states that they possess tenacious vitality and they're able to recover 20% of their HP in 5 seconds when their HP is below 30%. And then it has a 40-second cooldown. That's a really quick cooldown, especially if you're running taunt, because you can taunt something for a pretty decent amount of time while that is on cooldown. It also stacks with the healing ability, so if this kicks in and you quickly hit G, they are going to gain an insane amount of healing and become pretty close to unkillable for a specific amount of time. Now, obviously, any other talent that you can get on them with those two talents that also applies healing is going to be fantastic. So it pays to take your time and hunt down the right combination of talents here and the right follower for this job. Now, the next thing you want to do is ensure that they have bandages, plenty of food, and if you are at that part of the game where you can produce other healing items that remove status effects or injuries, you want to make sure that they have that stuff as well. They'll use all of that. They'll use food on their own, and they will use the healing items on their own if you provide them with that stuff. As for the foods, you want to ensure that they have a staple, a meat, a fruits and veggie, which is one category on its own. Each of these are one. You can have one of each. Cigars if you can make them, and some type of alcohol. This is going to provide them with a wide range of additional buffs, just like you provide to yourself, which is going to further help with their survivability. Now, this one is very, very important. Don't bother to mess with followers unless you don't care about losing them until you have beaten the stage 1 Sabertooth boss. That's going to unlock the ability for you to be able to store them and recreate them if they die. After you have beaten the Sabertooth, you then need to go to this dungeon and do the dungeon. In that dungeon, you will find the mysterious stone table and its counterpart. Once you have done those two things, you will have the ability to store and recreate whatever tribes people you are using for this setup. So yourself and your follower. This way, if you and or your follower bites the dust, you can just rebuild them and they're not lost permanently. Okay, now you have all the preparation out of the way and you're ready to take your follower out and use them as a companion. Let's talk about a few tips and tricks and tactics to help keep them alive. First, when you're going into, let's say, a dungeon or a structure to raid it or what have you, don't rush. Take your time. You can easily get overwhelmed in this game as a solo person, and you can just as easily get overwhelmed with multiple people. So you want to take your time and work your way slowly through whatever content you are doing in the game. The other thing is, don't be afraid to just run away. If things get a little hairy and you're taking a bunch of damage and your follower is taking a bunch of damage, if they are set to follow you, which they should be set to follow you, just run away. As soon as you get far enough away, it doesn't matter what situation they are in. They can be directly in the middle of combat. It doesn't matter. They will teleport to you. They teleport after a certain amount of distance. I'm not sure what that distance is, but just put as much distance between you and them and the bad situation as possible, and they will teleport out of it and teleport directly to wherever you're at. I highly recommend on the character that you're playing to run a shield and spear. As far as your follower goes, put whatever weapon on them that they are suited to use, because some will have easier time gaining proficiencies or better proficiencies in specific weapons. So just put whatever on them that works for you. I found that if you put them in a shield and spear, they will block just about as much as they will block if you just give them a weapon. You do want to ensure though that you set whatever abilities you want them to use. So for example, if they have a spear, maybe the spear ability that they're using is not great. Or if they have dual blades, maybe the one that they come with by default is not great. As they will level proficiencies, they will unlock new ones. And if you go into I, just hit I on your keyboard. From there, you will see all of your tribes people, and you can just click go to mastery, and then you can just click and activate whatever mastery you want them to be using, the same as you do yourself when you are in the mastery screen. A really solid option for a weapon for them though is dual blades, as it applies bleed, especially if you're running the taunt, because things are going to be attacking you. You can just block with your shield. Things will try to get through your shield while the follower is behind them stacking bleed stacks on them. But honestly, just use whatever weapon they have the highest proficiency in and they should be fine. And the last tip is don't do content that is more difficult than what you are capable of doing in the game. So fight things that are the same level as you and your follower or lower. Fighting things that are in much better gear than you and much higher level than you is extremely difficult to do in this game in pretty much every situation. And a really good example of this is if you are in beast gear, so the beast bone stuff, and you're fighting things that are in the bronze level gear, you're just going to get absolutely destroyed, you and your follower. But if you're in bronze gear and you're fighting stuff in bronze gear, you're on equal playing field and it should be doable. As you've seen in the footage that I've been playing throughout all of this, I was able to do this low level and high level. So I went and I found low level characters and took them to a low level area using the proper techniques that I talked about in this video, as the same with higher level stuff as well. I wanted to show you a variety of settings and situations, and I was able to take on bosses and take out entire camps with me and my follower. I'm not saying it wasn't challenging at times, because it definitely was, but I was able to do it without them dying. All right, and that is pretty much it for this one. Hopefully this one helps you keep your followers alive. If you found it helpful and informational, please consider hitting the subscribe button and notification bell so you can be notified when I upload other videos. And if you're looking for some more SoulMask content, you can find a link to another one of my videos on the screen right now. I want to give an absolute massive shout out and thank you to all of my channel supporters for helping to keep these videos sponsor free. You all are absolutely amazing people. If you would like to become an official channel supporter, check out the links in the description below. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a comment down below. Let me know what you thought. If you're shy, you don't like to comment, just hit that thumbs up button and share your support. Until next time, thanks for watching.